I need to put some socks on because my feet are freezing. Oh, why can't it be summer yet? That's all I want. To be nice and hot and I don't have to walk around with 50 layers on. So today I'm going to be talking to you about a bit of a topic that I've wanted to make a video on for a while. It's just I've never felt comfortable about doing it, and I really wanted to kind of, what's the word, do it some justice regarding the topic, because obviously it's something that I think a lot of people go through, but also at the same time it's a very personal thing to me. And like, I've done some prepping and I've just kind of like trying to plan out what I want to talk about, because I think sometimes it might be a case where I'd go on a massive tangent, you know? So the thing I actually want to kind of talk to you about today is body dysmorphia. It's a topic that is something that I kind of briefly spoke about, but not massively. And I think it's a topic that, again, like I said earlier, I kind of want to do justice in, and I want it to be right and kind of know what I'm talking about. But I want to point out this is all just my own personal experiences / what I've gone through. What are some of the tips I've found with living with it, and also maybe some tips that might help you on, like, this is how I personally deal with it. It might help you, and it also might make you realise that you are not weird in thinking, why am I so thinking like this all the time? But let me go into detail about what actually is body dysmorphia, because I feel like that's a topic that not a lot of people know about, or don't even really know what it is, to be honest with you. So yeah. So body dysmorphia is actually a mental health condition that, according to the NHS, let me just read you the definition of it. Body dysmorphic disorder, or BDD, or body dysmorphia, is a mental health condition where a person spends a lot of time worrying about flaws in their appearance. These are flaws that are often unnoticeable to others. People of any age can have BDD, but it also is more common in teenagers and young adults. It affects both men and women. Having BDD does not mean you are vain or self-obsessed. It can be very upsetting and a big impact on your life. And I completely agree with that definition of it, and also it kind of explaining it a little bit. So I'm just going to read you some of the symptoms of body dysmorphic disorder. I'll link this to in the description down below. This is obviously the NHS UK definition of it and some of the symptoms. But some of the symptoms of body dysmorphic disorder are: you worry a lot about specific areas of your body, particularly your face. Spend a lot of time comparing your looks with others. Sorry, sometimes my brain is quite it's quite hard for me to read text sometimes because I'm dyslexic, so bear with me in a second. You look at yourself in mirrors a lot and avoid mirrors altogether. You go to a lot of effort to conceal your flaws, for example, by spending a lot of time combing your hair, applying makeup, or choosing clothes, picking at your skin until it makes it smooth. BDD can be a serious effect on your day-to-day life, including your work, social, and relationships. BDD for me personally is, again, I agree with those symptoms. I definitely feel like, if I shouldn't say tick boxes, but tick these boxes, I do tick a lot of these boxes. So let's just get into kind of my own personal story about it. But I feel like I needed to give you a little bit of a definition and a little bit of an example, like, so you just kind of know what I'm talking about, so we're on the same page effectively, if that makes sense. Hopefully it does, but yeah. So on my notes, I don't know, it's going to be a bit weird talking about it, to be honest with you. Last time I really openly spoke about this was when I was at uni, and I did like a project on it on my second year, I'm tempted to say. When I was kind of researching into kind of other people's examples on speaking about this, I found that a lot of people suffer from it, both men and women. I will leave the link. Hang on, I watched a video by the actress. Give me 2 seconds. I watched an interview with Lana Connor and how she is living with body dysmorphic disorder. I will leave again that link in the description down below of her story about it, but when I was watching it I found it quite interesting because I wouldn't have expected her to have it, and I feel like it's one of those things where probably more people have it than you realise. So my own personal realisations when I had it was when I was actually in my second year of uni and I had gained a lot of weight. I wouldn't say I was morbidly obese, but I could have been a lot skinnier. I've always had a weird issue with my body ever since a young age. Now looking back at it, I definitely know I had body dysmorphia, or I have body dysmorphia, and I definitely had it back then. When I used to work out, and when I shouldn't really have been working out as much as I had, but I would do it in the privacy of my own room. And I remember I would be doing this religious workout, and if I didn't do it, it was like I'd be really fat the next day, and it was one of those ones where it was a toxic cycle, you know? My main area that I focus on that I can't seem to get out of my head on, it always looks the same to me, is my stomach. And my stomach is not ugly, it's not fat, well, it is a bit chubby. It's not the best of what let me rephrase that. There's a lot of potential in my stomach. It can be a six-pack abs if I want it to be. I always just see the really chubby version of myself, and I know that might sound really, really weird and a bit vain. It's just what I see. And now looking back on photos that I know when I took when I was younger, I thought I was really fat in them, but now looking back at them, I'm like, oh no, you were really skinny back then. Actually, your arms were tiny and you were paranoid about how your arms looked and stuff. It was it's a very weird sensation to look back on photos that you thought you were huge in, when it's a tough thing to deal with and accept, because you go through a lot of emotions about, oh, if only I realised then I'd be skinny now, and you know, it's kind of like a bit of a toxic cult, like toxic thoughts that personally go through my head. I'm kind of trying to refer back to my notes on what I've wrote, but like I said, I realised in my second year of uni when I was doing the project, and I'd kind of looked back through some old photos trying to figure out what I wanted to do for my second year project, and then I stumbled across this, and then stumbled across how I was feeling. And I was kind of researching into mental health and stuff like that, and then I came across the body dysmorphic disorder on the NHS website, and as I looked at it and read through it, I was like, these are some of the things that I'm thinking, and I'm thinking that constantly, or I'm doing exactly the same thing, because I would constantly, there would be thoughts in my head where I was like, I would always wanted to sit at the back of the room, just because of the fact that I wanted to be able to see everybody, and if anybody was talking about me, I'd know who was talking about me, and I'd constantly be so paranoid that I'd be the ugly fat friend. I didn't really like myself that much, which is really sad to say when now thinking about it, because I really didn't like myself, even though like now looking back at it, I was very like, I had a lot of friends. I had more friends than I do now. Of this, my obsession with my stomach, I'd go on extreme diets. So I don't know, I couldn't quote you what diet I was doing at the time, but I'd go through ups and downs of like, I'd go through stages where I'd eat very like loads of like kind of like a diet mentality, and then I'd go off the spectrum. And then I'd just go like, no, I love myself. Like I've seen people love themselves who are bigger, and like curvy girls are in, so like I'm gonna be curvy. But to be honest with you, that wasn't until my first year of uni. So I was when I was about 18. And that's when I was kind of like, oh, fuck it. If I'm gonna be fat, I'm gonna be curvy and confident and all this. But I like kind of just tricked myself into thinking that, even though I was very insecure. But you can fake it until you make it, but I just never made it there. When I was at uni, I then put on a bit more weight on that. So like the biggest I've been is a size 16. And granted, I know that's not big to other people. Like some people wish they were a size 16 and stuff, so I get that. But for me personally, that was the biggest I've ever been, and that was a very not worrying aspect of it, because I know I wasn't a healthy 16, I was a very unhealthy 16. So I knew I wasn't eating very well. And then towards my end of my first year of uni, I realised how much weight I put on. So then I decided to lose weight. When I lost weight, I don't think I did it very healthily. I kind of went very extremely vegan. I was like, I'm going to be vegan, but I wasn't getting the right amount of food to be vegan healthily, if that makes sense. So in my second year of uni, throughout that whole year, I'd slowly started to lose more and more weight, but it was a very slow, gradual thing. And then it wasn't until my third year of uni where I lost a shit ton of weight. I don't know what I did or like how I went about it, but I just lost a load of weight. I'd gone the skinniest I've ever been, which was a size 8. And I joke about it now being like, oh, gonna get down to this nice skinny size 8. But I wasn't a healthy 8 either. So I'd gone from one extreme being a size 16 and an unhealthy size 16 to an unhealthy size 8, and it being unattainable because I'd not gonna lie, I used to skip meals. And towards the end of my third year, so my last year of uni, and to when I was about 21 to 22, I kind of was at this weird stage where I thought I looked fat. So I thought I looked bigger than I actually was. So throughout that whole time of me slowly losing weight, I always had the same size 16 image in my head, and I'd constantly see that and go, you are still like fat, so like why haven't you lost weight? You need to do more. Granted, even though my clothes were dropping in size, I couldn't see it physically. I just kind of just see my stomach as one thing, and I can't unsee that, you know. It's a tough one, because then I've just kind of had a bit of an up and down with losing, because I kind of would sometimes then I would undereat and over exercise, and then I'd wonder why I'd feel tired all the time. It's one of those things where I was constantly up and down, up and down, up and down, but the same thing I was still seeing, which was my stomach. And that is a real, even now, didn't really accept it until like now, when I was like, you know what, if you want to lose weight and tone up, you're going to have to be so careful about it, because you can't constantly think about what you're seeing in the mirror, because you're never going to achieve what you want to achieve because you can't physically see it, if that makes sense. So like, I know what some of my triggers are when it comes to BDD, and I think it's certain things. Everyone has different triggers, but sometimes if I see a photo that I have not taken, and it's like kind of like a bit of a snapshot, like, so, do you know one of those photos that you're like, oh god, that looked really bad, isn't it? Like, if I see my body a way that I don't want to see it, like that, I find that triggering to me. And I also find sometimes I will find myself not even registering what I'm doing, but I will stare in a mirror for too long, and I will be like pulling my stomach up, like sucking it in, trying to pull my like fat left, right and centre to try and see what I want my body to look like. And I won't do it until I realise, oh shit, why am I staring at myself in the mirror? Sometimes, I remember one time, I think I actually stared at myself in the mirror, just looking at my stomach, thinking, ugh, like just not even really thinking, but also thinking at the same time, which I know is a bit contradictory. But I think I did it for about an hour or so. And I know now I do lean towards a lot more baggy clothes, because I don't to feed into my triggers, if that makes sense. So I know I will do more videos on it, but you can kind of see through my videos, I wear a lot of baggy jumpers, baggy hoodies, I wear a lot of baggy clothes, like all my jeans are like a few sizes up. So another like kind of point I've got written down is how I deal with it when I'm trying to lose weight / change my body. So currently I'm trying to lose weight and change my body, and when I mean lose weight, I mean I'm going to try and tone up a bit more. I'm not going to lie to you, it is quite hard, and I've been finding myself kind of up and down with my toning up process, but I just have to constantly kind of reminding myself on why I'm trying to lose weight and tone up, and it's because I want to be healthy, not for vanity reasons, if that makes sense. How I'm going about it currently is, when I'm trying to lose weight or change my body, I basically kind of go, well, I want to be able to survive the end of the world if the end of the world happens. So I want to be able to like run really far, and I want to, this is how my brain works, I'm really sorry, but I want to be able to run really far and outrun zombies or anybody that's trying to attack me, I don't know, or anything that's going to attack me. I mean, we don't know at this rate. I want to be able to kind of pull myself up a wall if need be, or climb a rope. Like, you know, it's just how my brain works. And I constantly keep reminding myself that this is why you are getting fit. And I know that might be a really stupid reason. I know a lot of people might laugh at me because of it. It's better than me thinking I want to be like, I don't know, Kendall Jenner. I want to look like Kendall Jenner, because I'm never going to look like Kendall Jenner because I'm not Kendall Jenner. But how my whole thing started was I wanted to look like other people that I couldn't look like, because I am not them and my body is built differently. But I think that's why my stomach is such a big deal for me, regarding like why it's such a big focus area for me, is because I'm very hippie and I have naturally quite big hips, and and I've got a really tiny waist, so my lower part of my stomach is the biggest. I'm gonna say hatred, because I feel like hatred, this is the only way I can really describe it, but hatred. Before, I couldn't realize that that's just how my body structure is, and not because I'm fat. It's because of how my body's built. And if I have hip dips or I have big hips, I will never look like, I won't look like a model, because they have quite up and down figures. I never, when I was growing up, I never really saw people like with the kind of the body like I did. It wasn't until my later teens I saw more imagery of people with my body type or a similar body type to me. I feel like I'm not really giving you any tips, so like these are some of the tips that I feel like have learnt for me. So kind of like to sum up how I deal with losing weight and stuff is that I kind of remind myself of I'm not losing weight, or I'm not toning up for the wrong reasons. I'm doing it because I want to be healthy. So that's like a tip number one, is if you're going to try and lose weight, do it with the right intentions. So like mine are I want to be healthy and I want to be able to survive the end of the world. Like, have those intentions instead of vanity intentions. And I know that might sound a bit brutal. Don't compare yourself to someone that you cannot be the same as, because it will be a toxic constant comparison. Because at the end of the day, everyone's body is so different to each, like other people's. When you really like look into it, like everybody's different, and I think that makes everyone so like, especially their bodies, so like unique. We need to embrace that more. And I feel like as like kind of media and like with social media and everything like that, we are starting to realize that a lot more, which is nice. And I think I kind of wish I had the diverse body type in media now when I was younger, just because of the fact that I feel like it would have been a bit more reassuring. Another tip is to try and avoid your triggers, or like I personally try and avoid my triggers as much as possible. And I know that might sound easier for me to say because, well, you're in a better headspace than you were like 5 years ago, and I know I'm very, very, very fully aware of that, and I know everybody's different, so please don't take this offensively. For me personally, kind of avoiding my triggers is the best way, but at the same time I didn't realize they were my triggers until they were triggering me, which I know is a bit of a weird thing to say, but it's the cookie. That's how the cookie crumbled for me. But then also another tip that I think works for me is that I've kind of come to the realization that I'm not going to be cured with this. Like, I'm not going to wake up one day and be like, it's gone, hallelujah, I'm normal, when I'm not, I won't be. There are so many videos about body dysmorphia, the science side, people's own personal journeys. Like, there is so much information out there, and what I would recommend is, if you're not sure if you have it or not, just research into it. And that's also like how I'm moving forward is I'm really fully aware of BDD and that I have it. B, I know what my triggers are, and if I see my triggers, I know that I need to either take some time for myself, or I need to take myself away from certain things that I feel like might be triggering me. And C, I am fully aware that it's not going to go away anytime soon. But yeah, that's kind of the main gist of it, if that makes sense. Like, I don't know if this video is gonna be helpful or anything like that. I think I'm just like I said at the beginning of this year, I'm kind of using my channel as like my own personal diary. Whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But I think as well, I feel like I needed to address this, for my own sanity. And also, like, I've wanted to do a video on this for a while. If you're going to take anything away from this video, is that a lot more people have it than you realise. You're not alone if you are feeling very similar to how I felt. Do your research and you will realise that people who you might not think have it, and there is professional help out there if you feel like it is consuming your life. Like I said, I'll link down to the NHS website, and there is so much information on there, and there's also information about how to get help if you feel like you need help. But also I think the best thing that I've done is just been open and talking about it, and talking about it to my friends, talking about it to my family. I feel like being open with it is that you're having to be very honest with yourself. I hope this makes sense. I really do. I'm gonna let you guys go because I feel like that was like a therapy session, and I'm really appreciative of you for watching if you are all the way down to this bit of the video, so like, I really appreciate that. But yeah, I'm gonna let you go and live your lives now. I'm gonna go and live mine. I shall see you soon. Okay, bye.